Hi, everyone, my subscribers. Gorillas are one of the most fascinating and iconic animals in the world. Their history is long and complex, spanning millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of human interaction. The earliest known gorilla-like fossils date back to around 9 million years ago, during the Miocene epoch. These early gorilla ancestors were small and lived in forests, feeding primarily on fruit and leaves. Over time, they evolved into larger and more specialized species, including the gorillas we know today. The first recorded mention of gorillas in human history dates back to the 5th century BC, when the Greek historian Hanno the Navigator reported encountering wild men in what is now Sierra Leone. These were likely gorillas, but the ancient Greeks had no concept of the animal as we do today. Gorillas were first scientifically described in the 19th century, after European explorers and naturalists began to encounter them during their travels in Africa. The first detailed account of gorillas in the wild was published by Paul du Chaillu, a French-American adventurer who spent several years living among the Fang people in Gabon. His book, Explorations and Adventures in Equatorial Africa, introduced the world to the great apes and their behavior in the wild. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, gorillas became the focus of intense scientific study and popular fascination. Numerous expeditions were launched to Africa to study the animals, and gorillas were featured prominently in zoos and circuses around the world. However, as human populations grew and expanded into gorilla habitat, the animals became increasingly threatened. Gorillas were hunted for their meat and body parts, and their forest homes were destroyed for agriculture and logging. By the mid-20th century, gorilla populations had declined dramatically, and several subspecies were on the brink of extinction. In the latter half of the 20th century, conservation efforts began to focus on protecting gorillas and their habitats. National parks and protected areas were established in several African countries, and anti-poaching measures were implemented to prevent illegal hunting. In addition, scientific research and public education campaigns helped to raise awareness of gorillas and their plight. Today, gorillas are still endangered, but their populations are slowly recovering thanks to these conservation efforts. They continue to captivate the public imagination with their intelligence, strength, and human-like behavior, and scientists are working to learn more about their biology and behavior in the wild. With continued dedication to their protection and conservation, these magnificent animals will hopefully continue to thrive for generations to come. If you liked the video, please to like and subscribe. Thank you. So, let's move on to the second history about walrus. The walrus is a large, marine mammal that is native to the Arctic and subarctic regions of the Northern Hemisphere. The history of the walrus is a long and complex one, spanning thousands of years of human interaction and millions of years of evolution. The walrus is believed to have evolved from a land-dwelling, bear-like ancestor over 20 million years ago. Over time, it adapted to life in the water and developed a thick layer of blubber to keep warm in the cold Arctic waters. It also developed long tusks, which it uses for a variety of tasks including digging for food, fighting, and hauling itself out of the water. The first human interaction with walruses can be traced back to the ancient peoples of the Arctic, who hunted them for food and other resources. Archaeological evidence suggests that walrus hunting was an important part of their culture for thousands of years, and that walrus ivory was used to make tools, weapons, and other objects. In the 10th century AD, Viking explorers began to encounter walruses in the waters around Greenland and Iceland. They quickly recognized the value of walrus ivory and began to trade it with other European nations. This trade continued for several centuries, and walrus ivory became a highly prized commodity throughout Europe. In the 18th and 19th centuries, walruses became the focus of intense commercial hunting. European and American whalers targeted them for their blubber, which was used to make oil for lamps and other products. This hunting caused a significant decline in walrus populations, and several subspecies were pushed to the brink of extinction. In the 20th century, conservation efforts began to focus on protecting walruses and their habitats. National parks and protected areas were established in several Arctic countries, and hunting regulations were put in place to prevent overexploitation. In addition, scientific research and public education campaigns helped to raise awareness of walruses and their importance in the Arctic ecosystem. Today, walruses are still threatened by habitat loss, pollution, and climate change. Their populations are also at risk from hunting by indigenous peoples, who rely on them for subsistence. Efforts to protect walruses and their habitats continue, however, and there is hope that these magnificent animals will continue to thrive for generations to come. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.